Man, that is killing me. I think that intro kicked off with no audio. All right, viewers, apologies for that. Let's kick it from the beginning. First things first, my peeps come first, and you know my peeps, City fans, rival fans, neutrals, it doesn't matter. I appreciate every one of you, and thank you for the support with regards to the channel. If you happen to be watching this live, hit the like button. If you're watching this on a replay, on a rerun, that's a throwback, video on demand, hit that like regardless, and also hit me up in the comments. Where do I start? You see the topics on here this week. You see the topics that are going down this week. There's a lot to talk about. And on top of that, On top of that, this is a Friday show. Typically, I like to do Tuesday, Wednesday. That was not possible for two reasons. My two little ones had cross country on Tuesday. Made sure to support that, and then Champions League we had on Wednesday. Didn't want to conflict with that. Supported some other channels with regards to some streams, but we're here. Vader Games, Why Always Me, on a Friday. So what we are going to do, you see the topics. Before we kick into that, we got to do it proper. We got to do it proper with the intro, right? Let's go. Yeah. Okay. Thank you again. Technical difficulties. If you missed the intro, go back when this vid is over. Yeah, wait until it's over so you don't miss the chat right now. But go back, see the intro. I messed around with something. I still need to improve it, but it's me being hands-on. Do it yourself. That is Vader Games at a T. Do it yourself. I see my guy Edison in the building. What to do, Edison? Thanks for tuning in, my guy. I'm sorry. I'll say this right now. I don't talk much Champions League, but I'm sorry for that matchup that you had. I know you're disappointed with that, but I'm here for you, my guy. And the Mancunian away. Good evening. What's going on? I've sent out links to a few of the fam, those that are in the mix with regards to Vader Games TV and the other channels that I happen to be on, whether it's True City Fan, Pitch Points, Football and Chills, as well as the Mancunian Way. So we're gonna have things kick off, and I've got a great panelist, my guy, with regards to other channels that we're pretty much all a fam, even with regards to the group channel, what we talk about. And the education that I happen to get from him is amazing. I'm going to be able to share that a little later on. So I'm just going to go through the topics that you see on screen. You see Haaland. Haaland's talked about from everybody, from everyone. And not only that, what he's doing is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to bring in more of a convo, I think, hoping to have from the chat as well as from the invites, the guests that I'm going to have on the show. But I think there's some really good things to chat about this week. And I want to deal with it more from just a surface level, more from the agenda standpoint, more from the banter standpoint. I want to get really into it and genuinely talk about what Haaland and what a player like him means to a club. Edison goes, I'm not worried. We had injuries. Yeah, your list of injuries, Edison. Edison is an AC Milan fan, and obviously they didn't have the best showing. This call seems to always happen when I want to do a show. Every time. It's killing me. Big ups. 1 second. I might have to deal with that call, viewers. This is live TV. Telemarketers, you know what it is. All right. I'm going to bring in the go-to, and this is no lie. My go-to when it comes down to financial talk, because this man knows his money. When it comes down to strategy with regards to club and what they happen to do that makes the best sense because football is a business, this is my go-to guy. And I stumbled upon his channel just as a viewer. That's how it began for me, just as a viewer, and then was in awe from the content. And between Carl, Gundalorian, and Patrick, True City Fan, for them to be kind enough to bring me onto their stream and to be now hearing it firsthand and interacting with them has been a pleasure. And this is my first guest to the show, Gundalorian. Thank you, my guy. Thanks for being on the show today. Vader Games TV, Why Always Me? How you doing?
It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you, my brother. Really great to be on with you. Seriously, I enjoy your show, enjoy your takes. I think we keep each other balanced and really have a great time. And we got a lot of our picks right for the Champions League, by the way.
We did. We crushed it.
Except for one game. And so maybe we should go into betting. Just kidding.
You know what? The way the betting is happening over here in North America with all these apps and things, it's very tempting. Everything is promoting it, but
Yeah.
for those of you young, make sure to do it responsibly. To Carl's point too, and he made the point to say we balance each other, and that's 100%. And when you're able to have a convo, and you may disagree on either point in a certain moment of time, but when you gather more information and then you can choose to see it from both perspectives, that's when you have a true genuine conversation. And I have that with Carl all the time, and I had to have him on the show today, and the scheduling happened to work. So let's get into it, man. I'm gonna adjust the screen a little bit just so the viewers can also see the comments.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, go to Pitch Points, easy search within YouTube, and give him a sub and support that channel. Fantastic content, and you're going to get a lot of it throughout this year, so you don't want to miss out. The first topic I want to get into, and it's there on the screen here, and I'm going to put the banner up for everyone, but it's the man Haaland. He's unavoidable. He's talked about in every press conference, whether it's for Pep, whether it's for the ops, the opposing team, they're always asked about Haaland, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. The reason why I wanted to title this banner is because, again, for the number of times that I've circled this sun and I've been paying attention to football, I haven't seen a player like Haaland. And I'm talking about the player himself. Haaland is nothing the world has seen, and it's not a statement that should be taken lightly, and I think a lot of people need to take that on. What do you think of that? Am I being too giddy, too excited as a City fan, as a football fan, or would you agree with that statement?
I mean, there's nothing like we've ever seen before. It's not. I mean, when rival fans who love football, by the way, I'm not talking about rival fans who just are agenda driven, like some guys that I know. I mean, rival fans who really appreciate football. And there's a guy who's a Chelsea fan, a good friend of mine, Emmy, Big Show. He's on Twitter. He's a Chelsea fan, diehard Chelsea fan. And we were in a Chelsea space the other day. There were some crazy agendas coming on about Haaland. He just said it plain and clear. He's nothing like we've ever seen before. And if you love the game, you would admire what we're watching, because we don't see this every generation. You know, maybe it's a Messi, maybe it's a Ronaldo, but even that. Let me give an example. Let me give some data, right? So the fastest person to get a hat trick, 3 hat tricks in a row was Michael Owen, I believe, at 48. Haaland did it in 8. Erling Haaland has back-to-back hat tricks, not 1 game, not 2 games, 3 games, and the last game being a derby. Yeah. Erling Haaland could have had a hat trick against Copenhagen in the Champions League as his 4th hat trick in a row if Pep didn't take him off. We know that.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, it's just something we've never seen this before in the Premier League. We've never.
I agree, and I'm also even going so far as to say we haven't seen this in the world, because he is, and when I'm talking about the player, he is a player that is all out about my business, about scoring goals, and he's not shy about it. He's not trying to be slick and not say that what drives him. That's what he's all about, and we haven't seen a player like that. Like as great as we've seen past goal scorers, we haven't seen someone like this. And I'm gonna add to the combo. And again, if you've been supporting this channel, I am grateful. If you're new to this channel, hit that sub button. And please, every guest, I'm going to shout them out. And please make sure to do that YouTube search, find their channel, and hit that sub. It is free, but it is priceless to us as content creators or with regards to our channel. So the next person I want to introduce, and you've seen him on the Mancunian Way, you would have seen him not only do shows that include myself and Carl, but shows that has him and Rich and Ozzy and other members and Xander, and they talk football as well. And they also give a perspective that I'm unfortunately not able to give, and that's the home perspective. So please, if you haven't already, make sure to sub and please welcome Martin from the Mancunian Way. How you doing, Martin?
Evening, afternoon. What is it? I don't know. It's morning over there, isn't it? afternoon, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's 2 p.m. out here. Good evening to you. Thanks for being on the show today. I was just talking with Carl about Haaland and the title on the screen. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but I'll read it out loud. But we were just saying Haaland is nothing the world has ever seen. And I'm not trying to exaggerate here. I'm not trying to keep it limited to the Premier League. I want to say the world. The world has never seen a player like him before. And am I being over the top, or would you agree with that?
No, he's a flop. Absolute flop. Can't score, can't pass, got no first touch. The guy's a monster. The guy's an absolute monster.
Martin, see that word monster. The word monster, man. I want us to use something more sophisticated, because when people talk about monster, it's almost like he's a brute, right? He's like the ogre. It's like what's the guy in that kids movie, the green guy? What's his name?
Hulk?
What's his face? No, the movie.
You're on about Shrek? Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
See, he's not called Shrek. It's called Wayne Rooney.
Use something else to describe the finesse and the agility and the athleticism of Erling Haaland, my guy.
I will just call him the absolute Norwegian machine, because that's what he is. He's an absolute machine.
Yeah.
He's an absolute. I mean, listen, he's a monster to everybody else outside of Manchester City, because he is. He's a thing of nightmares to everyone. Tells you something. I don't know if anyone's read this. Over in the UK, if you've seen all these silly petitions that go into the House of Lords and the House of Commons. What they've done is now they've done a petition to get Haaland banned out the Premier League. Funnily enough, it's got 1.8 million signatures. So, I don't know if it's half of Liverpool, half of London, half of whatever have joined this, but
yeah, you stole a little thunder. I was going to make a point of saying managers, teams have been racking their brains within the 90 minutes on how to stop Haaland. And what I've seen, the best solution that I've seen right now is a petition to stop him, to classify him as a robot. So that is, that's some hilarious stuff.
Let's put it on way. Listen, everyone knows that I am a dinosaur. I know I'm a dinosaur. I don't mind it. But I'll tell you what, I have no City-itis every time I watch City this season. Every time I see Haaland on that pitch, I have no worry anymore, because I know what the guy will do. I have no fear anymore.
I want you to hold that point. We're going to come to that point a little later in the show. But I did this. I think before the transfer window was closed. And sometimes I kind of geek out. I get into some odd conversations, and in the chat I ended up quickly putting together an Excel sheet, putting down every player. We made note of the goals that were scored last year, which was 99, by the way, just one shy of the century mark. And we just said, you know what are the goals going to be for this upcoming year? And I'm just going to quickly put that on screen here. It might be hard to read, but I just listed every player and I listed the projected goals. And initially we said, you know what, we're gonna score 100 goals this year. Not only, I think 3 matches into the season, let me scoot over here. 3 matches into the season, everyone in the chat was like, "Nah, we got to change it." It may have been Big Morgan, it may have been Ciel Bleu, I can't remember, but someone in the chat said, "No, we need to bump this up to 120." So we've now bumped it up to 120. And we adjusted Haaland to 30 goals for the season. And what's crazy is it seems like every week I've got to come in here and probably readjust the numbers. In your work life, in your business life, when maybe sales or revenue is just tracking and it's like exceeding what the projected beginning of the year numbers were, and you're just looking like you don't know business because business is doing so well. This is the case where I looked at the goals and I was like, I'm going to have to readjust this again. I said he was on track for 30 goals to date. He's at 14, just scoring a hat trick. We might have to adjust not only City scoring more than 120, but Haaland. My City tracker is all over the place. My City goal tracker is all over the place. Am I shortchanging him again by saying 30 goals in the league? I'll throw that to you, Carl.
I think you are, my friend.
Fair enough.
I think you are, because let's step back. Let's just step back one moment. I know we're trying to be conservative, and Martin's always one thing I'm learning from Martin is the act of being conservative and thinking through the lens of the older fans who've been through everything, right? And to kind of calm my own expectations down, to have that balance. And I'm learning that from Martin, and I thank him for that. But we play 8 games, Guy. He has 14 goals. Now, understand that he's still going to play Norwich again. He's going to play Nottingham Forest again. He's going to play Leicester. He's going to play, who's at the bottom? He's going to play Wolves again.
Yeah.
He's going to play all these. He's going to play Bournemouth again. Okay? And I hate to think of what this guy could do if he's fit against those teams. I mean, we're talking about at least another 5 to 10 goals right there. That's 24 already. And he hasn't played United again, or Liverpool twice, or Chelsea, right? I think 30 is conservative, man. I really do. He's on 14 already.
I know.
It could be on 17 this weekend.
I know.
I mean, Martin,
I know it's crazy. Martin, what do you think? What's the number? If it's not 30, Carl, I agree. I'm listening to Carl. I agree. I am being a little too cautious with this 30. And again, this 30 is what I had adjusted last week. So last week on the show, I adjusted it to 30, and that was before what he did this weekend. That was before what he did in the Champions League, and this is only reflecting on league goals. Where should I go with this, Martin? So I can give myself a few weeks before having to change it again. What do you think it should go from 30?
I mean, I'm going to stick to what I said at the very beginning of the season, and everyone thought I was actually crazy, by the way, when I said this. He will break Mo Salah's record for most goals in a season in the Premier League.
To break it, he only needs to do 33. To break it, he only needs to do 33.
Exactly. That's what, as long as he does that. Listen, because you don't know what will happen. He could get an injury. He could get whatever. I don't know. But for me, he will break the record.
So you telling me I should put 33 down?
Yeah. That's minimum. He will get a minimum of 33 this year.
Okay, I have a feeling if I change it to 33, I'm probably changing it next week.
It's a good problem to have, though.
It's a great problem. It's a great problem to have. You know what? This week, chat, and Edison.
Put it this way, Vector. We're scoring 4 minimum at home every game.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
4 minimum at home every game. So
yeah, I know
the numbers could go anywhere. Could go anywhere.
I know the club total of 120 for the season needs to change as well. And that's going to require me to also go down the list and adjust the projected goals per player because Foden himself, I adjusted it. Well, he had 2 prior to the derby, right? So he's now at 5. We had the chat, Better Games TV in the chat, were saying, what do we say for Foden? We said 10. So that's a number that's going to have to change as well. But you know what? For the sake of this, I'm going to take the advice. We're going to remain conservative. We're going to adjust it to 33. I hear Carl in my head saying you're going to have to change that again, Vader. But we're going to do 33 for now. Edison points out that he's seeing from Haaland reminds him of Marco van Basten, and Dutch player. I don't know what his stats were, but I do remember him as, again, same thing. He's a proficient scorer. So Edison, shout me out if that's the closest comparison. I'm going to make sure that I get fully familiar with some of his movement in the box and some of his highlight comps. I'll make sure to check that out. Big Morgan goes 200 now. So Big Morgan thinks City goals for the season should be at 200. Wow. We'll have to revisit that for sure. I'm gonna have to do proper math on that, Big Morgan. Dudley Lewis in the building goes 40 and 5 in just the Premier.
You know the funny thing, Vita and Martin, is I want to go back to that Martin's comment around Cityitis and feeling that Haaland can.
No, Carl, we're getting there. Trust me.
Sorry, I follow your lead. Sorry.
Yeah, we're definitely getting there. I just want to get this last comment here. Dudley, thank you. 40 and 5 in the Premier. I'm not mad at that. We're probably looking at that. Edison goes, he was out of this world at his time. He talking 3 Ballon d'Ors. 3 Ballon d'Ors is serious. And the thing is, Ballon d'Ors not only ties to goals, right? Ballon d'Ors go to the player of the year, right? It's not just the all out scorer. So we're gonna see some interesting things here. Big Morgan goes. He reminds me of Grand Muller. Broke every record he could.
Oh, Gerd
R.I.P.
Muller. Gerd Muller.
Mhm.
Yeah. The one in Germany. The one that Lewandowski broke the record.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair, Big
Yeah.
Morgan.
That's-
Let me take the goal scoring off screen here. Or do I do that again?
Do you know what, Vader? He doesn't remind me of anyone. Doesn't remind me of anyone. The biggest compliment I can give Haaland right now is this is once in a lifetime what we're witnessing right now.
Well, this is my
Once
point.
in a
This is my
lifetime.
point. I think what we've seen in terms of a player, I think there's nothing we've seen like this. Now, if you want to then categorize it with regards to like proficiency of scoring, amount of goals that he's scoring, like that type of dominance, I get that. But I think profile of player, no, we have not seen anything like this. And the thing that I want to point out is City, and I should have adjusted this title. City's not only going to be doing some magical things with breaking records around scoring as well as individuals, but that assist record, like the amount of assists that we're going to be doing this season, that's going to be mind blowing as well. And it doesn't get the same amount of hype and attention, but the way the team is working for each other is special. It is a special year.
Vader, I want to build upon this. So I saw a data fact. I saw some data yesterday where I saw Kevin De Bruyne's assist record last season and this season. Okay, and we talked about this, Martin and I, before the start of the season. We believed, both of us, that De Bruyne last year had a responsibility to play the false 9, play the number 10, play the number 8. So all of a sudden, the pressure is on Bernardo, De Bruyne, and Gundogan to get goals because Raheem was wasteful many times. Sometimes he wasn't. Mahrez did his thing one time. So everybody can contribute with goals. So therefore, Kevin gets only 8 assists all season, but he gets more goals. Now, 8 games in, Kevin has 8 assists already.
Yeah.
Right? So Kevin has equaled his total assists for last year in 8 games, in a third of the games, actually a quarter of the games that is required to play. Actually, more than a quarter, less than a quarter.
Yeah, less than a quarter. Yeah.
A sixth of the games, about a sixth of the games he's required to play. No, a seventh of the games, about that, right? Just think about that for one moment, that he has 8 assists already. Now, the record is 20 for a season by Thierry Henry, which Kevin matched.
Yeah.
He's already at 8, almost half.
Yeah, co-record holder. I agree. I think, and what's special though is KDB I think he's going to be the leader with regards to assists. But I think the number of assists that we're going to have by committee is also going to be special because we see Gundogan, we see Foden, we see Grealish getting those assists to Haaland, and it's going to make for a special problem for opposing teams to know. Like I hear, because what I've been hearing recently is, oh, you just got to stop the supply line. Well, you're going to stop the supply line from everybody? You're going to stop KDB, you're going to stop Silva, you're going to stop Gundogan, you're going to stop Foden, you're going to stop Grealish? No, like this is what I love, where you can't necessarily look to lock down one player, and I love that about us. Now, it's also going to lead me, and the reason why I was putting the brakes on Martin, and I had to put the brakes on Carlo a little bit with regards to what Haaland means, is because, and shout out to Ali in the building, hey Vader, is because it was getting to my next point. So let me do I'm going to do my best to do a nice, clean transition here. Vader games. Okay. It's no surprise that when City's doing well, the media have to inject something to kind of level things out, not allow too much praise to be happening in City. You know, they got to minimize the success and maybe categorize it to being able to spend at will, which we don't, or being able to just make different moves that other clubs can't, which is all nonsense. Because honestly, when you have clubs like United and Liverpool, and even with the spending that we've seen from Tottenham and Arsenal, those clubs, and especially Chelsea. How am I forgetting Chelsea? They spent over like 2 million this transfer window. When you have clubs like that, they can all do the things that we do. But the difference is when you do things smartly, when you do things with a plan, with an objective, and you're strategic, that's where you get the edge. And that's where City's edge has been. I want to throw this out because obviously the numbers with regards to Haaland and his weekly salary and what he is actually making per week was just recently released by a few sources. And if you saw my thumbnail, and those of you that are new to the channel, thank you so much. Hit that follow button. If you're not, hit me up in the comments. I read every comment and interact with the show. But the thumbnail had Haaland is underpaid as my thumbnail. And I know, Bader, you're trying to be clickbait, you're trying to be contrarian. But no, I had to cut off Martin. I had to cut off Carl because they were both about to talk about the importance of Haaland. And what they were about to lead into was this topic exactly. The fact that Haaland is paid what he's paid, but then Martin was going to talk about what he means to the club. Carl was going to talk about what he means to the club. That is the reason for my thumbnail saying the man is underpaid. Martin, and I cut you off, I'll let you go, Martin. Martin was talking about the fact that City-itis, and Martin, his own words, he's a dinosaur, he's Jurassic, his own words. He's saying that City-itis is no longer affecting him. Can you believe that? Can you put a price on that? Yeah. Martin, can you now go into what you're saying with regards to the City-itis and how that feeling has subsided?
Just listen, if anyone doesn't know what City-itis is, basically it's a feeling if anything goes wrong, it goes wrong with us. Because it generally has. And you know what? I don't mind a little bit of City-itis now and again because we all like a little bit of nostalgia. That's why I did enjoy the Spurs game last season. If anyone remembers, getting back to 3 each in the final minute and then still losing. That was City-itis. So you still love a little bit of that, a little bit of nostalgia. But it's like the derby at weekend. I was nervous going in. Now, normally, at half-time, even being 3 or 4-0 up, you would still worry. Because you'd always, old City fans would always go, if any club could mess this up in this position, it's us. Very much like 2 years ago when we were 2-0 up against United to win the title in front of them and we got beat. So that was always playing on your mind. At half-time was the most relaxed I've ever been in a derby, ever. I sat back at half-time and went, thanks very much, game over, I put my feet up and I'm just going to enjoy this. Where the City-itis hasn't disappeared amongst some fans is around the hoo-ha of this release clause and he's going to be leaving and we've already got him for 3 years. That's the City-itis part that's come out. That's come out in a lot of fans now.
Yeah, and
dinosaur pack.
We'll talk about that. But
the simple fact is, this is a generational talent. This is right now, and to your point, is he underpaid? Yeah, of course he is for what he's doing right now. But don't believe all this 900 grand a bloody week nonsense, because we ain't paying him 900. Could you imagine? Just imagine that he's 900 grand a week. Do you not think Kevin De Bruyne is knocking on the door going, excuse me, sunshine, can I have a bit more? You'd be having a queue outside Pep's door. City don't do that sort of money. Now, could he be getting that money? Yes. Will City be paying it? No. He could be getting 900 grand a week via sponsors. Mm-hmm. That's a whole different topic. But what it is at the moment is Haaland's performing very much like every time City hit a cup final or a semi-final, there is a story from the media that City are going to get in trouble or there's FFP. They've got to spin doctor everything around to put a negative spin. Because what is going on right now is Manchester City and Haaland is not a fit for the old guard. The old guard are looking at it going, hang on a minute, this ain't right. Haaland shouldn't be at City. And they don't like it, so they have to spin it. But I've never been. It's like tomorrow. I'm so relaxed with tomorrow's game. It's unreal because I know if Haaland plays, it's a win. I'm sorry, it's a win.
I hear you. Now, Carl, I'm going to throw this one to you because I apologize for having to cut you off, but I knew we were on the same wavelength.
Mhm.
Haaland has come to the club. You've mentioned it past years, even with regards to KDB and what his assist totals could have been had there been someone like more so someone healthy like Aguero, even in the middle. But we now have Haaland, and I'm not going to deal too much with what the numbers are, but whatever the number may be, can we argue that Haaland isn't worth it?
Oh, I mean, think about let me give a comparison. Let me just think about this, right? Think about the NBA or the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady. Okay. Tom Brady earns God knows how much, much more than probably any Premier League player earns, right? Even Messi. The impact Tom is having, Tom is generational because he's the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about in the moment, the things that Erling is doing at City in the game of football, not just for City, but for the Premier League.
Yeah.
We're talking about packed stadiums. We're talking about people who don't even watch football here in the US tuning in on NBC and Peacock to watch this phenomenon called Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
talking about Champions League games by UEFA. People are tuning channels to watch Erling Haaland play in that game against Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the revenue generation from this guy scoring hat trick after hat trick after hat trick, like he was like the Harlem Globetrotters, right? Essentially,
Yeah.
De Bruyne feeding. He's worth every penny. I even say he's underpaid.
See, and that's I know again because I was already getting it with a few DMs.
Because
Like,
okay, let's look at the corollary to this, right? There are two generational players that we have right now going on in the world, right? It's Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe. We all know what Kylian Mbappe earns in Paris,
Yeah.
Paris, in Paris, right? French league, which is what? Paris and Paris and Paris alone.
mm-hmm.
And you come to the Premier League that has much more money, right? And you're saying he's not equal to that?
And this perfect. And this is what I was going to say. There's one thing getting the eyeballs that Mbappe is able to get over in France, PSG. There's another thing where you're in, because I would classify that as a small pond and he's a big fish. Obviously, there's Messi over there, there's Neymar, but they're all on the same team as well. But then when you talk about being in a big pond with other big fishes because they're with other big clubs as well, and he is still the marquee, he is still the attention grabber. You can't write the right amount on a check. You can't slide the number and slide it forward on a table with regards to what that number is and come out accurately for Holland because he is changing things. And I know rivals don't want to see it because again, they're going to be salty. They're rivals. You understand what they are. But also, if they're closing their eyes and they're thinking of past players or they want to just simply look at Neymar,
Yeah.
Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo and say this is what a marquee player should be, that's where they're wrong. That's where they're missing. They're missing it with regards to Holland because and like you mentioned, Carl, from other sports, and Martin, I'm not sure if you've heard this, but in Major League Baseball, they say because home runs is when you knock the ball out of the park, and the saying is, chicks dig the long ball. So chicks, ladies, girls love home runs. Goals universally within football, man, woman, child, all love goals, and this man is producing goals. And when he celebrates, you can see the excitement he has. That is priceless, and it's even more priceless because we've been, no disrespect to our former players, but we've been starving for someone to be this efficient for a while. So you can't put a price tag on that.
There's
Go
another
ahead.
aspect to this that I talk about. Martin, help me out here. Is what I call the Haaland effect on the players. There is a level of confidence those players now have with this guy in the squad, which I believe may be the catalyst that takes us to the promised land. Because all of a sudden they know that they have a proper striker in the squad. So all of a sudden the levels go up. That United game was the first. Martin, you were at the stadium, right? The first half of the United game is the best football I've seen from City probably in the last God knows how long. It was a clinic. It was, and we take it for granted because we've seen so many great games, but that first half was literally a clinic.
Well, let's put it this way. Nottingham Forest, I said afterwards, that was as close to prime Barcelona I'd ever seen at Manchester City in the thrashing of Forest.
Okay.
And I did not think that would be beaten. I thought that's going to be our tip-top performance this year because of the overall play. That first half against United beat that because we were all over them, absolutely mauled them, absolutely killed them. We sucked the energy straight out of them. I mean, we can all talk about tactics and everything else, but we destroyed them. And what's happening is at the minute, there's a lot of managers and teams. They are now. We've got a factor that United had 20 years ago, where people turned up at Old Trafford and they were already beat. Teams are now turning up at the Etihad and they're already beat in their own minds. They've already gone. They're finished.
Yeah.
And you can't put a price on that. And to Carl's point, what you've got now is you haven't got Kevin De Bruyne, Foden, and everyone else trying to play a false nine, trying to get involved in scoring goals. They can now do what they were made to do and bought to do, their jobs. They can now just do their jobs in a natural way. And look at KDB. I mean, I saw some. And listen, I know you shouldn't go off the Twitter sphere and everything else,
It's all good.
but there was a video out on KDB's reactions. Carl, you probably know what I'm talking about here. When there was Sterling and there was Jesus in front. No disrespect to those two. And KDB used to throw his arms in the air, moan, and he was like, I'm putting these balls on a plate and they're just not doing it. You look at KDB now, and the guy's already wheeling away in celebration as soon as he puts the ball in because he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's now got that confidence, and you can't buy that.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I want to emphasize, and I'll get to the comments. Thank you for interacting. I see you, Andy. I see you, England, UK, and Erhan. Another reason why you can't put a price tag on it is because what's been done with the kind of slight drop off when Aguero was still with the club, and then obviously with his vacancy, is that you had to rely on the players doing more than what their role was, right? The versatility of our players are fantastic. I love that Pep's able to make them be more than what they came in as to the club. But when you're also then able to have them do what they've been special at, what they've been groomed for, and you then fill a vacancy with regards to positions. Sorry, I'm gonna have to deal with the kids. Quiet, please. Is have them do their role and then have someone up front do their role. I saw that same comp, Martin, and I think I said something like, imagine. I pointed out that I wanted the same chances to be possible moving forward, because I think if the same chances are made.
Let's not forget that Erling Haaland said the same thing that Martin and you were saying, that he watched those chances go by and he imagined himself at the end of those chances.
Yeah.
There's a reason why this guy chose the club, because he knows that he has De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, Rodri. You have all these guys, Phil Foden around you, who we know who can deliver a ball on a plate.
Perfect. And that brings me to this point. And Erhan, I saw you. I just wanted the convo to continue, but I saw your comment. Erhan wants to point out, he says, if Real come calling, Haaland's head will turn. Now,
so my response to Erhan is this, right? Erhan, Real did come calling, but they didn't turn his head. That's why he's at us.
I'm about to say that. I don't know if because I have seen that comment, I've been chomping at the bit to get to it.
It's a fact that
I mean, last night, I don't know if anyone knows, I put it on my Twitter and I sent it to Kyle and a few others. The documentary that's now out, it's on YouTube somewhere, of the big decision. And Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, all these teams made that offer.
Exactly.
All the offers were there. And even his dad said, there's a choice of 5 or 6 clubs. There was a top 4. City were first. Bayern Munich was second. Real Madrid were third, by the way. Real Madrid weren't even in the top 2, may I add. Then there was PSG. Now, the simple fact is, you've got to remember and it was something that he said as well. The decision was not about money, because he said when he chose City, he could have gone everywhere more. City were not the biggest financial package on offer. Nowhere near. They were one of the
Yeah.
lowest probably out of the whole package. So if it was about money into Real Madrid, he'd have gone there. He'd have gone there already. Real Madrid made the offer. He turned them down.
Yeah, and this is what I want to point out. And Orhan, your point of view, I'm not hating on it. I've seen that perspective from a few. I think many would argue, if you're thinking of one of the biggest clubs in the world, Real Madrid fall within that category. But there's also something that we can't avoid and that's individualism. There's some people that come along and they want to make a mark in a different way, right? So I'm not going to be one to say that he may not have thought or dreamed of a future at Real Madrid, but it's all about the here and now, because things get evaluated. Things get, like, you need to have the perspective in real time. And I'll say this: if the day does come where Haaland is like he was at Dortmund and is going to have multiple suitors again, you know what happens here, Orhan, is that the multiple suitors need to offer him something better than what he currently has. And that will be a fantastic problem to have, because it means that City will have a player that has been so great for us. And let's be real, he won't be leaving on the cheap for wherever he may go.
Yeah. Vida, we don't even have to look that far. Let's look at what happened last summer, Irhan. Let's look at the facts. Here are the facts. Real Madrid went for Kylian Mbappe. What happened? Turn them down. Stayed at Paris Saint-Germain. Real Madrid went for Erling Haaland. What happened? Turned them down. Went to Man City. So we don't have to project off. And we all know that in the next couple of years, these two teams are only going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and better and win and win and win. So in 3 years' time, what's the expectation that somehow he's going to find himself in a spot to go to a club that may not even be relevant regarding winning titles in Europe or in Europe, right? When right now he has chosen to come here. Take Barcelona, for example. FC Barcelona, right? Let's look at the people who've gone there so far, right? We have Rafinha, who's gone to Barcelona, not doing very well. Eric Garcia's gone there. He can't, he's basically playing second fiddle. You have Ferran Torres, he cannot get a game. Cannot get it. Frank Kessie is playing backup, right? Koundé is injured. Lewandowski struggling, can't get enough goals in the Champions League for a Barcelona team. Right? So all of a sudden you begin to ask yourself, whoa, where's the money? Where's the opportunity? Where is the management? Is Ancelotti going to be at Real Madrid forever? Probably not. Who's going to go there? Pochettino? Does he want to play for Pochettino when he has Guardiola?
Yeah, and that's my point.
These are all the intangibles that rival fans do not want to consider and think about. It's a salty take that, he's going to go to Real Madrid. But he didn't go to Real Madrid this year. He stayed at City. And Mbappe didn't go to Real Madrid. He stayed at PSG.
Exactly.
For reasons beyond what we think.
And I want to point this out too, because this is something that sometimes gets dismissed. Like, you can, as a child, you can have a dream. Like, you can write down things, you can put them on your dream board, you can write them on your wall, you can doodle whatever. But then as you get older, you kind of like, no, that's not something I actually want to do now that I have the information and now that I see how things are. I as a young boy, I wanted to go to UCLA as a kid. That's where I want to go for school. That changed. Go ahead.
No, just going to say, mate, sorry, but I don't mean to interrupt you there.
No,
Can I make a point? I mean, if it's back on this documentary, if anyone's not watched that documentary, please go and watch it, because it's quite an eye-opening thing. Everyone said City was the choice because of Pep. And he even says in there, a manager can be sacked within 3 weeks of him landing. So, Pep was a part of it, but he wasn't anywhere near the main part. The part that he joined City for was because of the project and what is going on there at the moment. And also, I'm sorry, there was no boyhood photos of him in a Real Madrid kit.
Exactly.
He wasn't sat there in a Real Madrid kit as a 10-year-old enjoying himself. He was stood in a Manchester City top.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry, I understand saltiness. It's like there was this release clause. I know me and Cal disagree on this. I think there probably is a release clause, but there isn't a specific
Exactly.
release clause
Exactly.
for a club. But here's the thing, City will just, do you know what'll happen? What happens every single time a player does well at Manchester City? Within the next summer, they go, new contract, thanks very much. And if they want to keep the release clause, they'll bump it up. So by all means, yeah, come and get him in 2 or 3 years, but you better have 200 or 250 million quid to buy him, because that's what it's going to cost you.
And it's just smart
And I'm
business.
sorry, you couldn't get him at 51 million. So what makes you think you're going to get him at 200 and 250 million?
Incredible.
And and you're not going to get him solely on a release clause. You will still need to present the best football place for him to land. And as of now, that is not the case. I want to point this out, and I had it on the screen for a bit. Sorry to just getting to you, Ant Project. But I'm telling you, even if you believe the fact that he's getting $1 million a week, I'm telling you he's underpaid. He is scoring unlike anyone else, and the other players that are getting big dollars, big moolah, big pesos, big dineros, big francs. I'm going to use all of those.
I can't believe people believe it. I can't believe they
If
believe
they
it.
do believe it, he is still underpaid. And
Let's
Project,
go the
I'm telling
assumption.
you,
Let's
he
even
is still
assume.
underpaid.
Let's for one moment assume that he is getting $1 million a week.
Mhm.
Let's just assume that, right? Is it not worth it?
Exactly.
It's worth it. He's scoring hat tricks. He battered United.
Do you know what annoys me with it? Do you know what annoys me with it? It's people who are lazy who believe. I mean, listen, people are entitled to believe whatever they want to read. I get that. And they're entitled to their opinion. I never hold anyone back on opinion. But the fact is, I beg people to go and do just a little bit of research. Manchester City don't do that sort of thing. We never have. We've never, ever gone to... Listen, me and Carl, I remember this. For 3 years, we had a massive debate on Messi.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to Carl, the numbers involved in Messi, City won't touch because that's not something they ever go to. That's why they never touch the Neymars. They've never gone to that level. The reason why Haaland is there is A, because he wanted to be there, and B, is because it financially made sense to Manchester City.
Mm-hmm.
City don't pay stupid amounts of money. Never will. Never have. Maybe one day in our lifetime we will. But the thing is that if he is anywhere near that, it is bonuses through sponsorships.
Correct.
Yeah.
I could sit there and say Jack Grealish is on 800 grand a week because he's got his Gucci deal and he's got that deal and he's got this deal.
Right.
Is it coming out of Manchester City's bank? No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like this fallacy that Sheikh Mansour buys all our players. No, he doesn't. It is just lazy clicking, looking at tabloid things, and people just, I beg of people, just do a little bit of research.
And
sorry, that's my little rant over.
No,
it's fine. We're gonna have to expect that because we are doing amazing on the pitch. We're doing amazing in the boardroom. So that's what we're gonna get from rivals because
it's jealous.
I find it comical, Vader, that rival fans' only defense right now, both local and global, is that somehow they want to get him out of the club. That's the only defense. So you cannot compete on the pitch. Your managers are not smart enough or good enough to compete on the pitch. Your default is, well, let's get him out. Let's flag this release clause stuff so that he can get out of the league.
Well, I wanted to bring up
say that that City can't match his ambition. That's nonsense. He wants to win the Champions League. City have a great chance of winning the Champions League with this guy.
Yeah.
Plus, he's only been here 8 games. What happens if he breaks his leg? I'm not saying it'll happen, but God forbid this doesn't happen. Imagine he breaks his leg or snaps his Achilles in the next month, and then he's out for a month. Or 12 months. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's just enjoy the here and now.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy what we're watching.
All things controlled. Haaland doing his thing on the pitch, continuing to be as proficient as he is, getting the success that he has. The point that you'd mentioned a little earlier, and Andy, I want to throw this up. I know I didn't say it out loud, but Andy goes, key point. The old guard can't stand Erland to City. Exactly. It's a culmination of all their fears, them no longer bullying small clubs. And it's also, again, there's a layer to this because when you look at what kind of happened prior to City with some of the clubs now getting to a position of challenging. And City is, I'm going to say right now, and yes, I'm a City fan. You can say I'm biased, but City has learned from the failures of the past, and now it's at its pinnacle movements that are happening right now. It's learning from the past and just applying better practices. The same fear is happening with Newcastle. The same old guards are looking and they don't want another challenger within the mix. And so the fear that we hear is not only for us, but it's for the new upstart club that may get an influx in terms of proper planning and proper football decisions. The last thing I want to say is, whether you want to believe or not, Orhan, that Haaland will stay for 10 years or not, that is fine. No one's 10 years down the road. But what's important for us to always reflect, and this is where I think the big clubs failed. They relied too much on their big name. Is you need every year you need to assess and improve, and that's what City shows. So with the big names like the Reals, like the Barças, like for them, for the problems and situations that they've found themselves in, and I won't even talk about the clubs that are in the Premier League. But when you rely on name alone, and that's what's going to draw players to you, that's where you're going to fall short. City doesn't have that arrogance. City doesn't have that with regards to we're City, therefore they will come to us. That's not the approach. So if we continue to remain competitive year after year and we provide the best football project for a player to come to or to play at, why wouldn't Haaland exceed 5 years if he looks around the landscape and no one can do it better? So we'll deal with it when it comes, but I love how City is making the movements. I'll go through these comments real quick. Big Morgan goes, don't messy with Horsey. I like that. Virtual Oak Studios, City can win a few CLs if they keep Haaland. I think not only is it about keeping Haaland, it's about keeping the approach with regards to how we build our squads. You look at the decisions we're making, and as of late, you look at just the last two decisions that City have made with regards to Sergio Gomez and Manuel Akanji. Those aren't big, crazy names, but they're smart decisions with regards to profile of player with the club. We continue to do that, and we will sustain this level of success and be the consistent challengers to UCLs, as you mentioned it. FIFA goes, yes. I know we're closing in on an hour. Anyone seen that Haaland poll someone made? It's I know the petition that someone threw out there. Yes, we talked about that. The only way to stop Haaland in City is to classify him as a robot. So they're doing all that they can to try and stop us. I don't want to creep too much in because I believe we also have there's a second show later on today. Am I correct, Carl?
There was supposed to be. We have to reschedule it. There is some emergencies coming up, so we won't have a show. Yeah, but
okay. All right.
Later, can I just jump on something very quick?
Yes, please.
Can I just remind everyone? All this was said about Aguero. All this was said about Company. All this was said about David Silva.
Yeah.
All of this was said about Kevin De Bruyne. All of this was said about all these top players that we have had. That Aguero was destined to play in Real Madrid.
Great point.
David Silva was destined to go to Barcelona. Vincent Kompany was destined to go and play for Barcelona. Sorry. We just realised they've all done 10 years. This is a madness that people need to realise. Not everyone is a Bernardo Silva. You got to remember with Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland he's not from Spain. He's not from a sunny climate. He is from Norway, where 9 times out of 10 it is peeing down with rain and freezing cold. So if you think being in Manchester affects him, no, it doesn't. Not at all. To me, at the moment, I only have one little bit of a negative on the Haaland issue right now.
Okay.
And it's for another stream at another time.
Okay.
And
I like the teaser.
And I think Carl was on the same Twitter space earlier. And maybe this is my City-itis coming out. I love the fact that the stadium's packed. Just sadly, at the minute, I would like everyone to be in there because of Manchester City. And at the moment, there's some fans turning up just for Haaland.
Yeah, I hear you.
To me, I don't want to get into a situation where Haaland becomes bigger than the club, because no player and no manager should ever be bigger than a football club, ever,
Mhm.
ever. But
Yeah.
sadly, at the moment, that's my only negative in this. I'll be honest with you, especially on Wednesday night, because the stadium was sold out and packed, but there was people there for Haaland. As soon as Haaland went off, I kid you not, some people left. I watched it happen. They walked out when Haaland went off.
I'm with you.
That's my only negative, and I'm sorry to bring that in.
No, it's
but
okay.
That's the only thing griping me at the moment a little bit. But like the guy said earlier, I think that's another stream at another time about that.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. That's a good point. I will do this, and because I'm being respectful of time and the time that I have from Gunalorian as well as Martin Mancunian Way. So the last few topics, and let me just do a clean transition here, viewers.
Vader games.
So there's a few big matches. I'm not going to be disrespectful. City going into this weekend, we're playing Southampton. If you happen to miss the preview with regards to what I talked about, please check out the Mancunian Way. I was able to do a preview there. I may be able to do probably maybe some spaces later on in the weekend. And I'm sure between Carl, Martin, and Patrick, there's probably going to be a post-match view to talk about the match against Southampton too. And apologies, I started this show and I didn't talk about the derby, but I'm one of many City fans that are putting their content on YouTube, and I'm sure you've heard the feedback, you've heard the review in regards to the derby. We loved it. You heard Martin talk about he didn't experience any City-itis going to that match. Carl, as only Carl can say, he said, I'm not even worried about City. I'm not even worried about City playing against United in this one. United aren't at the level. And I respected him for it. He gave me a nice calmness as well, because there's a season to worry about. And United's always kind of been a speed bump within the season. But I'm glad that it played out the way it was. 2 hat tricks from Foden and Haaland, which are childhood fans of the club, is special. So that's you've heard enough from me. I'm not going to get into that, but I love the derby that happened. Going into this week, with Southampton, not to be dismissive, but if we stay at the level that we've been playing at, Pep continues to make these choices, regardless of us questioning his choices with regards to the starting 11. He continues to do his thing, the way he's resting players. I'm happy with it. I'm going into this match really confident, and we'll address the starting lineup when that does come out. I see a lot of comments coming through, but I want to say this about the upcoming games. This top of the league Arsenal versus our supposedly era rivals in Liverpool have a big match this weekend. I want to believe that Liverpool are mentality monsters. I do want to believe it. For me to believe it, they need to prove it and win against Arsenal this weekend. If they don't win it against Arsenal, I think it's all been media hype. It's all been fantastic branding. It's all been Klopp being clever and overstating what Liverpool are. Because if they don't show the mentality monsters that they should be or have been against Arsenal, I think it's all been nonsense. For you, Carl, have you looked at the matchup in any way, and do you have I would say this team should be the winner over the weekend?
I have. I've looked at it, superficially at least, and there are 2 things, right? If Liverpool show up like Liverpool can show up in big games, the game's done. Liverpool's going to win. They will smoke Arsenal, and it's not even the question. Because Liverpool have done it. Liverpool have gone up against the City side that got to 98 points, 100 points, 92 points, time and time again. That's the issue. The question is, in what shape are they in for that game? They still have the cobwebs of the game against United, the cobwebs of the Brighton game, onshore, not right, not finishing, defensively weak. Then Arsenal have a chance to get a point or maybe even win. But the smart money, in my opinion, if Liverpool show up, is for Liverpool to win that game tomorrow. I just can't see how that
they can afford. They can't afford to lose it, can they?
Well, they can't afford to lose it, because if they lose that game, it's done. I'm sorry, it's over. I don't see how they recover in the league, because they're 13 points behind Arsenal, 9 games played,
Mhm.
and then they have City, and next week, and City beat them. That we're going to be 16 points behind. Yeah. So for me, it's a question of what mindset does Liverpool have in that game against Arsenal. If they have the right mindset, the championship mindset, which they've been champions once, I think, in 30 years, then it's
33.
33. Then it's good night, Arsenal.
Mm.
If
Okay.
they don't, then Arsenal will get something.
Okay. What about you, Martin? Have you looked at that matchup and maybe?
Yeah. I'm on record as saying it. I think Liverpool are already out the title race. I think Liverpool have major problems this year, and I think they've got a major mentality issue. I think they're burnt out.
I
And
won't challenge you. Sorry, I won't challenge you on them being out of the title race, because I think, yes, we're all City fans on this panel right here. I think we would all agree that they're out of that race. Where do you think right now they would stand? Are they at risk of not being in the top 4?
I think they'll get 4th.
All right.
I think they'll just scrape 4th. I genuinely do believe right now, and I said this in my pre-season predictions. So this is not me, guessing after the show. This is what I've said already. I genuinely believe right now Liverpool are burnt out. I think what they've done for the last 3 or 4 years has burnt them out. I think they've come to the realization they cannot beat the monster that is Manchester City in front of them, and they've got to a stage where they're like, we can't beat these no matter what we do. Their midfield is very light. Their defense is all over the show right now, and I mean all over the show.
Well, Martin, this is my point.
Trent is
gone.
Go ahead. Trent's gone. And if Arsenal show up, this to me will determine whether Arsenal are competitors or they are pretenders. Because if they show up tomorrow or whenever they play, I genuinely believe Arsenal then could go on, and I don't think they will complete the marathon, but I think they'll go a bit longer than what we probably all think they will.
Yeah.
But I genuinely believe that Arsenal. I mean, I genuinely believe Arsenal will beat them tomorrow. I think they're all over the shop, Liverpool.
Yeah. So this is where I want to jump in, because I agree with Carl on Liverpool need to make this win happen, because there's the domino effect or ripple effect, however you want to describe it. If they lose this match, or even if they draw against Arsenal, I think it doesn't boost them in any way to even confidently finish in the top 4, because it's showing that whether they're big clubs or not, Liverpool aren't able to seal the deal and win. Then I also look at it as the whole labeling, and sometimes I get a little cheeky with how I describe these banners, but Liverpool and them being mentality monsters, as you pointed out, their defense hasn't changed. Yes, there's the slight injury to Robertson, but the rest of the back 4 is the same. But the fact that they're not playing at their level speaks to mentality. I don't think it speaks to physical burnout or not having the or even being slightly injured. That's not the case with them. They're fit, but they're not playing to their they're not playing to their level from a being dialed in, being sharp, and even decision makings. Because I'm seeing a lot of weakness within them. Now, I'll agree their midfield isn't quite as strong as it has been in past years in terms of what they're able to do in terms of their pressing and ball movement, and you can slight that to not strengthening their midfield. But the mistakes that their players are making, I think, falls down to their mentality, and yes, them maybe being mentally fatigued, and that does not speak to being monsters at all. My point with Liverpool is they've been labeled as our rivals and the ones that have been pushing us for the last 4 years. I honestly think that we would have, and we have, because we set the standard as the Centurions the year before they started challenging us. We set the level to where we want to play at, even without being challenged. I think them keeping us honest, having to play hard is one thing to note, but I don't think that they raised our level. And yeah, you could say that it's maybe hindsight. I'm looking back on it, but them falling off so dramatically, and then also in hindsight looking to how we started this Centurion and 100 points and that level of competition or excellence throughout the season is where I'm like looking at them as I cannot back this Klopp Pep era. This Klopp Pep era does not exist if you guys fall off and lose to Arsenal and then not have been in or not have been
Yeah,
challenging us for the title.
It's a massive game. It is a colossal game. I mean, to your point and to Martin's point, it's a massive game because if they lose this game, they have to play City next.
Yeah.
So it's not. So they go to. If they lose this game, they have to play City next.
Yeah.
And that will not be an easy game.
And that brought me to this point because Addy goes, it's a tough one for him, right? He doesn't want Arsenal to win, and I'm with you. He doesn't want Arsenal to win, but Liverpool's demise is funny as well, right? And it's funny because of how they've been so.
Let me get 5-5. 5-5 draw is what I want. 5-5.
The difference is though. The difference is, I think if Arsenal beat Liverpool, and maybe this is me, I don't think Arsenal can stay the course. At some point, Arsenal will drop off.
You don't think winning versus Liverpool would kind of give them a boost that even allows this run to be sustained longer?
Yeah, I think it'll be sustained longer. I think by about February though, I think they'll fall off. This is the thing. I don't think right now, who's your favourite going into this game? Because for me, it's Arsenal.
I always look at form, and based off of form, I say it's Arsenal. But I did the same thing when they played against United. And look what United did.
Yeah, but technically, mate, they should have beat United. They battered them.
Yeah, but I told you United were going to win that game, and it's not because Arsenal are not good. It's just experience.
Yeah. Hold on one sec.
Arsenal play a high risk, high line game, right? Which he doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the maturity, the experience to manage that over a course of the season, like City do.
Fair.
When you play a high line against Liverpool, not a deep block against Liverpool, they will get done. Oh, I'm telling you. If Zinchenko plays a high line against Salah, he's toast, man.
That's true. I wanna do this, and thank you all. And I'm cognizant of your time. Thank you for being here, and please don't hesitate. I appreciate you guys being on the panel, but if time is creeping in, please let me know. But I've got another fantastic guest. I had the pleasure of actually being on a few panels with him through an invite to be on HH, who is Have Hope. He's got a great show, unique in its sense, jokes as always, but they talk good football. And my guy always, and his name is no pun because he always brings it. He always brings the smoke. And my man Don Smoke is able to join the panel. How you doing, my friend? Thanks for being on the show today.
Big up the panel. Big up Avita. Thanks for having me on. Great making my debut on your show, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had to send out the invite. It's Thanksgiving out here, Thanksgiving weekend out here. So Fridays off, Mondays off. So it's nice and chill.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thanks, man. Don, you heard the combo. We talked about a few things. Now, I asked Carl, I asked Martin what they thought in terms of who was going to win this in this matchup, Arsenal and Liverpool. Can you give your take on it?
I agree with Carl in the sense that Arsenal's tactics actually plays into Liverpool's hand, right? So the thing is this, right? Liverpool struggle against a team that sits back and expects them to do all the creative work, right? But when you give the attack line of Liverpool space, you are toast, just like Carl said. And we saw it last season where when Salah scored at wonder goal, our fullbacks pushed up. He had space to run into the defense, and it's that thing of whereby as much as I like Arteta, his naivety, right, and inexperience will cost him in big games like this. Because these games are won tactically, right? It's not about form, right? Same thing as, for example, whenever Chelsea versus Tottenham or Arsenal, it's not about form, it's about tactics. Who can stay in the game longer? And Arteta would want to be the progressive manager by trying to push the press, which Liverpool wants. And so it's basically the thing, though, is the problem with Arsenal is they're gonna drop off when you expect them to perform. That's always been Arsenal's Achilles heel, right? When you write them off and you give them no chance, then they're normally gonna disappoint you and win.
Right.
And when you expect them to win, they'll disappoint you and lose. So it's that thing whereby, as much as they'll make it difficult for Liverpool, I see Liverpool winning this game, similar to the United one, whereby Arsenal will batter Liverpool, but Liverpool are clinical enough that even as though they may be bad, they still have a good enough squad and players to get them over the line.
You know what? That's what I'm thinking. And when you bring up, past results or you bring up examples, I was one to say, and it was maybe a month leading into the final, maybe 5 or 6 games to the end of the season. I was like, Arsenal got this. They're finishing top 4. Like the form that they were showing, I think the games in hand, I'm like, nah, they got this. And what they do, they fell short. They were 5th. Did the same thing. I'm like, the form that they're showing, how they started, players looking good, playing against United not looking consistent. I'm saying Arsenal's winning. What do? Not come through. And now I'm fearful that I'm doing the same thing based off of form, saying that Arsenal should beat Liverpool. But I'm hearing you guys loud and clear.
You've got to remember, Vader, when we always played Liverpool, we always had one player that always came out to play. And that was Gabriel Jesus. Because we all know with his pressing and everything else what he does. Now this is a different Gabby now. This is Gabby on form. This is a Gabby who is clinical at the moment and is loving his life as football because he's playing games. Liverpool right now, I get what Don Smoke's saying and what Carla said about the press. But that was when Liverpool had a back line that was concrete and you didn't get through him. Right now, you can drive 2 double-decker buses through Liverpool's back line. They are all over the shop. So if Arsenal put that press onto them, they will get joy. And I mean, they'll get joy. Salah at the moment is a shadow of himself. Look, I don't know what has happened to Salah. What has happened with Liverpool without them even realising it is. And I said this last year on one of the streams when we played them. I think it was on the watch along. Klopp and FSG have allowed that squad to get to where. Do you remember when Pep first took over and we had 5 or 6 30-plus players in the team and we looked lethargic and we looked off it? That's where Klopp has suddenly allowed Liverpool to get to without even noticing it. And it's crept up on them because they've simply believed all their hype and everything that they wanted to believe last season. And trust me as well, last season, because everyone told them they were the greatest team ever to be born in football world. They were better than Madrid. They were better than the Prime, everything. Yeah. And what happened is they won an FA Cup and Carabao Cup. That has affected them. And listen, I'll even go an even bigger stage, and I've said this already. I don't think Klopp sees out the season or goes at the end. I don't see Klopp being there much longer.
No. I'm going to have to stop you there. Martin.
Honestly, mate.
No, Martin. I got to stop you.
7th season syndrome. Look it up. 7th season syndrome.
I hear you. There's also 7 years of marriage. I've heard about all the stats, but we're not going there on this show. We'll have that.
I know that's just my really wild out prediction.
No,
I don't think he's there long.
I hear you. Man just signed a contract this past summer, but I hear you. We'll deal with that on another show for sure.
Can I just give Carl an example, right?
Yes.
Carl, it's more like the past times whereby the Rags would come to the Etihad and beat us, even though we were in better form, but because we played up and they had players who were good to counter what we were trying to put up. I see the same. Hence I think it's all a question down to Arteta. has he learned? Is he agile enough in his approach that he'll put his ego aside and be much more pragmatic? Because if you see with Pep over the years, right? If you beat Pep the previous season, next season he normally corrects it in the
Yes.
sense that he goes in much more pragmatic and less naive than before.
Mhm.
Whereby, if you saw against United, we didn't give them the room or we brought up measures to counter what they were trying to do. So it's a
Facts,
matter
yeah.
of can Arteta come up with counter measures to what Liverpool will try to do, and if he can negate that, then I can see them getting it over the line.
Yeah.
If he can't and he goes in stubborn, they will lose.
I agree. And Carl brought this up, and it was a great point. The fact that if Arsenal want to play that high line and cause that pressure, it may give those chances for Liverpool that they want to do with the speed that they have. So there might be that challenge within there. But then, because of how shaky Liverpool's defense has looked, and Arsenal applying that pressure, they might get joy as well. So it's going to be a game you have to watch and pay attention to. I think. I don't even. Liverpool can't afford to lose this. They can't afford to lose this game. But I'm gonna go to the next point, and you see the topics on the screen. Let me do the clean transition if I can here.
Vader games.
So, and I've been accused of this, of being disrespectful in a respectful way. I make it make sense, but I'll leave that to the chat. I've been disrespectful, but in a respectful way. You guys can make sense of that as you can. But I want to point this out with regards to Arsenal. Because I've said for a while, Arsenal are playing good football, no doubt. But for me to then now characterize them, now mount them on the challenging for the title pedestal, I'm not ready to do. And again, 8 games into the season, 9 games into the season, why would you do that, right? It's too early. We've seen, to Martin's point, we've seen that this is a marathon. Let's wait until winter break. Let's wait until even later than that to make a decision. But I did say this, and I said that Arsenal are showing good form. Can they be challengers? Yes. Will I say that they're challengers now? No. But I do want to point out that I respect, there has to be a respect for Arsenal fans, because the respect that I want to give Arsenal fans is the fact that they speak with chest. They speak with chest, as crazy, as delusional as it may seem. And again, let me put this on screen, because again, I'm respectful here, and I don't want anyone to be too upset. So we're gonna do earmuff session.
Max, can you earmuff it for me? We are gonna get
So earmuffs is when you see this on screen. When you see this on screen, I want you, Arsenal fans, to know that this material might be sensitive to your ears. Arsenal fans, I'm not giving you respect until respect is earned, and that's how it should be. This generation, I grew up in the generation where you didn't have to wear a seatbelt, where they didn't give warning signs to mothers for smoking. I knew about that. That's back in the day. You can see the platinums in the beard. I'm old school. This era, it's respect earned. It's not respect given. I'm not giving Arsenal the respect until they've earned it. You will get another notch of respect beating Liverpool, but you have to beat Liverpool. If Liverpool is not a win for you, your chest needs to deflate a little bit. The bass in your voice needs to get a little higher, and you need to just chill on the winning the league talk. Respect is earned. It's not given. That's my earmuff moment for Arsenal right now. I do have to point out that I do like how they're boastful, but there's a level to it. There's a level to it. Next point on the screen, guys. Unlike Arsenal that talk big, we have other clubs that want to do the underdog small chest talk. And HH is one of them. HH is, I'm not calling him out, but I'm pointing out that he's been really low key with what Chelsea should be expected to do this season. And many Chelsea fans are. New owner, new manager. but they've secretly won that Champions League game. I know the confidence is kicking up. Liverpool, they're still doing their underdog talks as much as they want to say they're beating Arsenal, but they're still talking with the underdog tone. Arsenal, reverse, they're big chested. Man United are still trying to talk with the underdog talk as well. Fans, I'm not telling you to be crazy, to be delusional, but do speak intelligently about your club. If your club is at it, then speak appropriately. If they're not, don't be fake and don't try to overhype it. United fans had to be humbled this past weekend because leading into the week, with every day that passed, they were talking bigger and bigger. They're going to steal some points off of City. You need to have a proper perspective. And I want to give Arsenal fans their respect, but they're going to have to earn it with the proper wins. Let me go to these comments real quick. Eddie goes, Liverpool don't face punishment. Come on now. They are the Premier League darlings. You're going to the point earlier. I agree. Liverpool can do no wrong. And in the comments, someone talked about how, a couple seasons ago with regards to the COVID tests, game delays and things of that nature. They do a lot of things that are just like swept under the rug, not even held at, not brought up every point like they tend to do with City. Addy also goes, no, not to disrespect Arsenal fans, but they spent 20 years believing they were a top team. Caught by... Fair enough. Fair enough. I agree, FIFA. They are until they aren't. They're top of the league, so I respect them for that. To say that they're winning the league, that's nonsense. We've shown that we can do that, and Liverpool has shown what it takes to be able to even challenge for it. They're not at that level yet. My last point I wanted to share with this panel, and it's been fantastic, and thank you all for this time. This hour and a half just flew by. If you've noticed, if you're new to the channel, if you've returned, this panel gave amazing points that obviously I don't quite think about myself. And that's why it's great to have them on and to be able to get their perspective. I will never presume that I have all the right answers, but I love the perspective that I'm able to get from members like Don Smoke, like Martin and Gun DeLorean. If you aren't following them, I'm going to make sure to put their Twitter handles inside the description of this video. For those that have YouTube channels, that will be in this video as well in the description. And I want to point out, please tune into Pitch Points, tune into the Mancunian Way, tune into Football and Chills, as well as True City Fan. You can see Don Smoke killing all rivals. He does not discriminate, killing all rivals on HH Have Hope Show, the Football Hut. And shoot, we've got a great game with Southampton coming up this weekend. If any of you want to point out where any of us can catch you next, please let us know. I'll start with you, Gunalorian.
Yeah, great to be on the show. I probably will be on Patrick's show. I think he has a couple of shows scheduled for today. I'm going to be on them today. We're going to talk about a couple of exciting topics. We may do the preview of the game, but I'll be, and then I'll do a Champions League preview probably on Monday about match week 4 in the Champions League. Focus on a couple of teams.
Oh yes. All right. Cool. Make sure to follow. And like I said, I'm going to put the description in this channel. Martin, Mancunian Way, what you got, man?
Yeah, we're back live tomorrow after the game when I get back from the ground. We'll be back with a post-match at some point. And then on Monday, we're kind of going to do a Copenhagen preview, but we're not, because it's a bit of a funny one. But we're going to start our build-up to the Liverpool week ahead.
Nice. And Don Smoke, the man that is relentless, doesn't let anyone chill. What's next for you?
All right. I might join Patrick's show on True City Fan. And if possible, later on, I might join Have Hope's Football Hut.
All right.
Just putting the rivals back into the place to remind them that we won 4-5.
What's the deal with that guy, honestly? Is he... Because some of his takes are just out of this world. It's like, what is this guy smoking?
You know, Carl, misery loves company, right? You must
It's just like
understand the
some
fate
of
of
his
the
takes are
club.
just, I don't know. Better, you guys are strong. So, you know.
You know what it is? Some of it is tongue in cheek. Some of it is, nah, you're just trying to slight. You're trying to slight us at whether we're City fans or City as a club. So you need to be there to represent. Um, but yeah, no, the back and forth is probably very similar, even with some of your Chelsea friends, Carl. Like sometimes you're just there with them to check them. So, but it's great. He's got a great show, great energy. I wanna thank all of you. I'm gonna do my best. Again, this was a special case because it was a Friday. I'm going into Thanksgiving weekend, so the work schedule was a lot lighter than normal. But I'm gonna do my best to try to free up and find a sweet spot because not only do I want to provide content that doesn't conflict with other city channels in particular, but I also want to be able to do it at a point to definitely catch panel members like Don Smoke Martin, Gundelorian, True City fan Patrick, Adam, and Ade, and the family in itself. So I'm gonna hit that follow button, subscribe, and know when I'm live. See me on Twitter because I'll give that announcement as well, so you don't miss the next show. But I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I'm gonna do my best with this outro. I messed around. I do it yourself. DIY a video. Apologies for any mess ups, but please enjoy. I'm out.
Cheers.